Hello, everyone. This is Dual Dreamer, and my best friend and colleague of Nerdbender is here with me. What's up, man?
Hey guys, once again, technical difficulties on my end. Hopefully, I'll be getting some updates on the laptop soon. But until then, here I am, and welcome to our first spinoff, Nerd Nostalgia.
Yep. Yeah, I believe this was your idea, right, Rich?
It was actually because I didn't just want us to come back. Oh yeah, let's do season 2 and let's just do the same thing over again. No, because podcasts always do that. They don't take chances. They don't take risk anymore. So I thought let's take a risk. Let's see what sticks to the wall and what doesn't.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, Spectre Star was going to be joining us, but some personal things going on that he needed to take care of. So it's just going to be myself and Richard Core Kenobi.
Yes, like the good old days.
Yep. So anyway, Richard was asking people what topic we should talk about for nerd nostalgia, and it was overwhelming on the results. You put like a poll on Twitter, right?
Yes, I did. It's still pinned on my wall. It was a tweet that had over. It was a poll that had over 11 votes. The topics were He-Man, the Tick, and Transformers, and immediately it was tied for He-Man and Transformers, and the poor Tick only got 2 votes. So that, to me, the people like Transformers and He-Man more than the Tick, and I was just like, oh, come on, guys, give the Tick love. I love that show. So, but eventually, He-Man won the popular vote, and I've got to say, I mean, I did not expect that poll to run the way it did, so it just goes to show that, yeah, in terms of, okay, the Transformers, they have their movies, but He-Man is still more popular. So that's crazy that, 2 80s icons were bashing it out just to see which topic we would talk about.
Yeah, no. And the thing is that I think also is that people are like, it's oversaturated with Transformers, and I think that people want to hear about He-Man, give He-Man time to shine for a little bit for this year and whatnot, in this generation. And I think he does deserve it.
No, yeah, He-Man is, he hasn't been irrelevant these past few decades. He's still popular. It's just he's not in the mainstream media anymore like the Transformers.
There's a cult following, pretty much, like a cult
following.
Yeah,
there is. There's a strong cult following.
Oh, yeah.
But he just doesn't have the mass media market, or he doesn't have Michael Bay having explosions in his stuff constantly. So again, I was surprised that, okay, yeah, we're going to talk about He-Man because I actually prefer He-Man over the Transformers.
Well, I'm more of a Transformers fan, but I'm still a huge fan of He-Man. But me, if I choose one or the other, it would be Transformers. But I love He-Man as a kid. I still like He-Man. I still think he's an awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that was the thing, because He-Man and Transformers were always battling for dominance over toys and cartoons back then. And to me, it's just like, okay, I was either a Transformers fan or a He-Man fan, but I'm both. I'm a fan of both of these franchises. It's just, I think Transformers got more popularity as time went on, and now because of 5 Michael Bay films later, the Transformers are more relevant than ever. But He-Man is always in the back. He's always best suited as a comic book character. But I still would love to see. There's still hope of another He-Man movie. Possibly. I don't care. I want it.
Yeah, and we're never going to be talking about it today, about the movie. But you were mentioning something about toys and dominance. Yes, like Mattel, I believe it was Mattel. It was the one that pretty much licensed the He-Man toy line, while Hasbro did the Transformers. But like most of the 80s cartoons, they're all based on toy lines.
Yes, this is something that you don't see nowadays, because nowadays TV shows aren't based on toy sales or toys anymore. That is completely gone. But back in the 80s and 90s, that's what most of your cartoons were mainly the 80s, because it was a huge trope. Like 80s shows were always based off toy lines, like Cabbage Patch Dolls, My Little Pony,
Teddy
He-Man,
Ruxpin.
Transformers. Any show that was on back then, they had a toy line that started first, and then the TV show would commence. And I think the toys for He-Man came out in 1982, and then the TV show in 1983.
Right. And it was actually a good way to advertise the toys, because when you see them on cartoons and you're like, I want to have these toys, and then they have commercials for the toys, I'm like, I want to get these, you know, because...
Yes, and this was strictly for, because that's the thing, marketing demographics now are completely different, because back in the 80s, you would market to boys and you would market to girls. Like, you wouldn't see girls collecting boys' toys and boys collecting girls' toys like you do today. Like, back then, it was strictly stereotype. Okay, boys get awesome, muscular men and monsters and cars and micro machine cars, while girls get huge convertible toys with Barbies and ponies and all that. So it was very much like one side of the camp. And He-Man was probably the most popular toy line of all time. Like, it was pretty damn popular. Like, those are the toys that people remember, the toys more than they do the show.
Yeah. There was one thing I didn't like about the toys, though, even though I love the toys. But do you remember how it was created, how it was constructed, with especially the legs? I never liked.
Yes, I do remember the legs.
You know, because it's like you have the torso, you have like the pelvic area, which is another piece, and then you have these legs hooked up to like this metal spoke or something like that, and a hook. And it hooks onto some kind of like a black rubber band inside. Like, it gives it flexibility and stuff. But like, as a kid, like, you want to play with it, and then sometimes that black rubber snaps.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It always breaks my heart when that happens.
Yeah, I know. Nowadays, toys are a lot better. He-Man toys nowadays are so much better because they're constructed more better, and they're easy to play with now. But back then, you always had they always tried to, come up with ways to make it flexible, and the way to do that was a rubber band, because we didn't toy technology had not advanced what it is today, to where you can have multi-jointed toys where they can be flexible and they don't break as easily, because toys back then, that was the problem, they break too easily.
And I think that's how people make more money, and they break. They were gonna ask their parents, "Can you buy me a new one?" And
yes, exactly. I think they did that on purpose. Like, just like if our product breaks, the kid will buy another one, and we still make more money.
Right. And for those of you who don't understand what I was talking about, but that black rubber band, think of G.I. Joe action figures. You know what I mean? With that whole that black rubber band. But the He-Man toys had those as well. The Masters of the Universe. Do you remember some of the action figures you had? The He-Man action figures you've had?
Oh man, that's I definitely remember playing with them, but I don't think I ever went to the store and brought them, because I wasn't exposed to He-Man by the toy line, but I didn't even know there was toys, because I didn't grow up in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s, so but when I did play with He-Man toys, I think I had just He-Man and He-Man and Battle Cat, maybe Skeletor, but I didn't collect all of them because I wasn't that into toys. Like, I was into a lot of things, but I was more of a moviegoer or a gamer and less of a toy collector. But I did collect a lot of toys, but I wasn't, everybody was at my age. So I do remember playing with, these were probably new production of the He-Man Masters of the Universe toys, because I never had the 80s versions with the rubber bands, but I do remember the rubber bands. Yeah,
I grew up with those, and I've also watched the cartoon. And like I said, one of the things I hate about it is that sometimes I play rough with them, and the rubber band snaps, and then there goes the legs and the pelvic area, and I get mad. I get so sad. I'm like, Mom, can you buy me another one or something like that? But I do remember I've had He-Man, I've had Skeletor, I even had Ram Man. I had Ram Man. I never had Cringer or Battle Cat. I had Skeletor's cat, that purple panther. I had him.
Yeah.
I
Panther,
forgot
his name was?
I forgot the name too. I think people probably will tell us in the comment section what that cat's name. But yeah, I used to have that.
Then I got right.
What happened?
I said, is it Panther?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Oh.
But yeah, and speaking of the cartoon, back in the days, it was something that little boys wanted to be. Everyone wanted to be He-Man because of how strong.
Yeah,
that big.
It inspired kids to go to the gym.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody wanted to have that kind of muscles, and the cartoon. See, that's the thing. I mean, because I know all of you were expecting us to immediately talk about the cartoon, but we got to talk about where it started, and it started with the toy lines and then the cartoon. So, right. But since we just got done talking about the toys, now we can talk about the cartoon. And all I have to say, I still watch the cartoon to this day. I'm 21 years old, and I watch a cheesy 80s cartoon that...
Oh, God, it was cheesy as hell!
Yes, it was. See, that's the difference. That's something else I should have brought up. The Transformers was not as cheesy, but it didn't have it wasn't like how people remember it, but you can tell there's 80s cheese in there, but it's not fully embracing it. With He-Man, it fully embraced it. It completely embraced its 80s-ness, like the writing, the hokey endings, some of the wordplay, the dialogue. It was just 80s everything.
Oh yeah, I remember they ended. They had like PSA.
Yes, exactly. There you go. The PSA.
Oh my God! Most 80s shows, most 80s cartoons have those PSAs, like those public service announcements. Like there's a lesson to be taught or something like that.
Yes, He-Man was the catalyst for them because it would end all the time with them. I think the only show, to my knowledge, that didn't end with those was the Thundercats. I think the Thundercats
did. I don't know. I don't remember. Okay. I know Silverhawks did. I know G.I. Joe definitely did. But
oh yeah.
Transformers didn't.
Yeah. But He-Man though, they would never tackle, because see, that's the thing. PSAs nowadays talk about more stuff that you're supposed to talk about with your children, but back then they wouldn't. They would just talk about your mannerisms, how it's nice to help people, even if they're good or bad, but they would never talk about drugs, or they wouldn't talk about sex. They wouldn't talk about anything like that. They would just stick to they would just stick to talking about stuff meant to be taken by a 5 or 10-year-old. They would never talk about stuff that's related to teenagers.
Right. Well, those shows were meant for little kids, and you know what? It was a good way to show that here's a role model. He-Man was a definite role model for a lot of kids. You know what I mean? Even me as a kid, I always looked up to him.
Yeah, same here. I agree. And plus, I think the main thing the show is famous for now is that the look of the show has become infamous and made fun of, mainly with He-Man and Prince Adam himself.
Yes! Here's the thing I don't understand. Oh, that one!
Yeah, everybody... because it's funny, because the Nostalgia Critic, I remember his review. I remember he just didn't bash on it, but he made fun of the gayness in the show, even though I don't know, I can say this right now, I didn't see it, what he was wearing as, okay, yeah, he's definitely gay, or that is just so, I thought it was ridiculous, but I thought, you know what, I don't care, because I enjoy, it's 80s cheese, and it's not meant to be taken seriously, but the way Prince Adam dressed, it's just like, yeah, out of everyone in Eternia, he's the only one who's wearing tights and a pink vest. And even the toy of Prince Adam was worse. They had him have a pink sword.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, Yeah, like Mike Matei, James Wolf's friend, he collected some of the He-Man dolls, and he had a Prince Adam figure that had a pink sword.
Oh God, I don't know why. It should be gray. It's like in the cartoon.
Yeah, I know, and a lot of people were enforcing this stereotype, saying, "Oh, He-Man's gay," because we never see him with another woman or kiss another woman. We never find out what's his sexual preference. The reason we didn't find out these things is it's an 80's cartoon. They would never address stuff like that back then.
Exactly.
Never.
But of course, you have those 30-somethings nowadays to come up with theories as to what was his sexuality and what's going on between him and Tila at the time. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah. But all joking with the 80's cartoons aside, I thought the show still does, after 30 years, it still does hold up pretty damn good. I mean, yeah, it's still cheesy. It's undeniably cheesy. Like, if you want a show to watch with nothing but cheesiness, this is your show. But there's actually one serious episode that I don't think many people remember, and it's the episode that a lot of people don't talk about because there was one episode, and I can't remember, I think this was season 1 or season 2, where He-Man actually hurt somebody unbeknownst to him, but Skeletor made it to where, okay, he would make He-Man hurt somebody unintentionally, to where He-Man thought, I've taken a life, and he would go on top of Grayskull, take out the power sword, and we would actually see him recall his power, and he would throw the sword into the pit of Grayskull.
Right. I don't remember that. It's been a while since I've watched He-Man cartoons and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I guess in a way
I
me,
have it on DVD, and I remember, oh my God, this is a serious, dark episode. It was very dark. I didn't expect them to do this sort of thing, but it reinforced, it pretty much shows us why He-Man is pretty much like the Eternian version of Superman, where he doesn't kill people, and even if he did, he would punish himself for that. Like, he would basically say, I've taken a life, I can't do this anymore. Like, what if I do it again? So I don't deserve to have these powers. Like, he would do what any reasonable guy would do in his situation.
Right. And speaking of Superman, what do you think about his disguise?
It's even stupider than Clark Kent's, I gotta say.
Exactly. I mean, dude, like, I'm surprised that I'm just surprised that nobody figured out that Prince Adam, is He-Man. Because here's the thing.
Exactly.
Adam has the same build, same facial features, same hairstyle as He-Man. The only thing that
the only difference
is the skin tone.
The only difference is when he transforms into He-Man, he gets a tan and his voice is deeper. That's the only difference between the character.
I know. I'm like, Skeletor hasn't figured it out yet. I mean, how many times he's captured Adam?
And he's even taller too. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, because in the new show they address this, but in the old show, whenever He-Man transforms, not only does he get bigger, he gets a tan, his voice is deeper. He also gets taller, but when he's Prince Adam, he's smaller. So maybe that's why they don't connect the dots. Like, oh, Prince Adam, you can't be He-Man. You're too small, and you don't have a deep voice, but you have the same haircut. So okay, that disguise. Still to this day, I hate it. It's just like, how the fuck does nobody recognize you? It's just like, Man of Arms, Orko, Cringer, and the Sorceress. They're the only ones that knows. But Tila and his parents never figured it out. That's just so stupid.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'll get to. We'll talk about the 2000 show later. But that's the one thing I love what they did. They immediately changed his disguise as He-Man to where he's smaller. He's a bit of a runt. When he transforms into He-Man, he's really giant. Like, he's big, he's bulky, and his face does sort of look the same when he's not transformed.
Yeah, but you can't really tell.
But I see how people don't recognize him.
Right.
I see how people don't recognize the 2000s He-Man as Prince Adam because he's a lot bigger.
Right.
But that's just, still to this day, I mean, that's got to be the worst disguise of all time.
Yes.
He-Man made Clark Kent's glasses look like a legitimate disguise. That's just so stupid.
I know. And even with like the Sailor Scouts, you know, all they had was a different outfit and a tiara. And all of a sudden, no one recognized them.
Yes, exactly. So
part of it
that
is laziness. I think it's laziness from the writers or something like that. But
I think it was the laziness. It's just like they didn't, because the show was 80's cheese. They didn't have to, you know, sit down in a writing room and say, okay, when we design this character, can we do something to make people not recognize him as He-Man? You know, can we make him a little different to distinguish him from He-Man? They didn't think about that. They just say, make him the same, but when he's, you know, transformed into He-Man, give him a tan and bulk him up a little bit, make him a little bit more taller, and just have him have a deep voice. That's it.
Oh my god.
And that's my question. I mean, so would it be like that for everybody who transformed? If everyone had the power sword, would that happen to them too? Where, okay, they transform and they look the same, but there's just a few subtle changes.
Right, right.